Hey everybody, it's Charlie. I had a chance to see Venom. This is going to be my non-spoilery review of the movie. I'll talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, and how things have changed, compared to, say, the previous version of Venom that we got during the original Tobey Maguire Spider-Man films. I'm still doing that giveaway for the Spider-Man PS4 game. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and leave a Venom-related comment on the video. I'll name a new winner at the end of this. So there are a couple important things that we really need to talk about specific to this movie. Does the movie work off on its own without Spider-Man in the MCU? Like, does this Venomverse work? Is what they established in the movie strong enough to merit the trilogy that they have planned? Because Tom Hardy was signed for 3 movies, not just this one movie. And is it strong enough for Sony to use it as the backbone of its own interconnected MCU-style universe? Like, we have the Morbius movie that's coming up, the Silk movie, there's a Nightwatch, a Jackpot movie, Black Cat, Silver Sable movies. So no question about it, as it wound up, Tom Hardy is probably one of the only people in the world that could have pulled this off. He's a fantastic actor. The way they filmed the Venom scenes are actually really interesting. Like, he actually did the voice for the Venom character and for Eddie Brock, but because of the way they did the special effects, he would actually just walk around on set in his normal costuming and talk to himself with a special earpiece. So I'll talk about that in a second, because there are some weird tonal mismatch issues when they get to certain parts of the movie, but when he fully becomes Venom, he is totally on point. So just on a sheer conceptual level, the character totally works. Vastly, vastly better than the Topher Grace version of Venom from the Tobey Maguire films. There was probably never any question in your mind about that. Like, no matter what the movie was going to be like, after that first trailer, you just look at it and say, this is going to be the version of Venom that people will remember. We'll just forget about that old version, which is funny because Avi Arad said that he accepted full blame for original Venom during Tobey Maguire era, but he's also the producer of this Venom movie, so it's not really clear what his creative involvement with the project was. But they have a great cast: Riz Ahmed, Michelle Williams, all fantastic actors. They all feel like they know that they're in a much more hardcore movie, even though the director said that the whole time they always planned it to be PG-13. Based on things that they said really early in the process and the way it was pitched, it sounded like they did originally intend for it to be rated R, so that's the way it was written, and then they just turned it into a PG-13 movie during the edit. So one of the problems with the film, I think, is during the transitional process where Eddie starts to get the symbiote and they're having that bargaining stage where he's not really sure if he's on board for what the symbiote is offering him. And he kind of goes to this weird Woody Allen place where he gets really idiosyncratic, and it gets kind of silly in a way that doesn't necessarily match the tone of the rest of the film. But a lot of those problems go away once they get to the "we are Venom" of it all. So the funny thing recently, you may have heard Tom Hardy talking about deleted scenes. He said that he improvised maybe like 9 hours worth of material, so that might be where some of these back and forth weird tonal issues come from when he's talking to the symbiote initially. Considering that you really only have that last Spider-Man 3 Venom appearance to compare the special effects to, this is light years beyond. So the weird way they did this is that instead of doing it Tom Holland style, where Tom Hardy would wear a motion capture suit and they would fix it in special effects later, he would actually just walk around, and it's almost like they photoshopped the symbiote on top of him. So like the way you see it form around him, he was filmed that scene with just him in it, and then later they would add all the symbiote stuff in post-production with like very few reference points. So no special man-canceling suit required, which is what Mark Ruffalo calls the suit that he wears when he's doing motion capture for the Hulk. Compared to a movie like Spider-Man Homecoming, which is connected to the MCU, Venom feels like a very small, self-contained movie. But like I said, Sony is planning for a trilogy. There are 2 post-credit scenes, so make sure you stay through the end credits. There's a mid-credit scene and a post-credit scene that do some world building that set up the obvious sequel. Typical expectation of a Marvel movie, even though it's a Sony Marvel movie. If you're a fan of comic book movies or of the Venom character or comics in general, then you have a pretty good idea based on what you see during the end of the movie where they're headed with the sequel. It's pretty clear, but I don't think it quite does enough job to set it up if you're not a comic book fan. So don't be surprised if you go with some of your family members and they have no idea what's going on. That is largely, I think, the fault of the script. So they have amazing actors, the special effects are actually pretty decent, and we know that Tom Hardy is a verified, fantastic actor, so the weakest thing about the film is the script. It did feel like they kind of rushed it into production last year, like they announced the Venom movie, and they said, oh yeah, by the way, we're going to be releasing it next October. And when I heard that, I was just like, how are they going to turn a movie like that around that fast? It takes them 2 years to make one of Tom Holland's Spider-Man movies, and that's still Sony releasing that film. So if you've been reading the news and you're hearing critics talk about the movie, I feel like a lot of the issues that they're talking about are just due to them trying to rush the movie out so quickly. Obviously, there are a lot of Easter eggs for Spider-Man stuff, but without getting into further spoilers, yes, the movie can work as it exists by itself in this Venom-verse that they're trying to create, but they just need to have a really solid script to give to the actors. Special effects, everything else about it is totally fine. I feel like there are a couple things that people are just having fun with. There will be a lot of memes after this movie comes out, but like Dark Knight Rises was divisive when it came out. People turned Tom Hardy's Bane and his voice into a meme. This film won't be divisive like Batman v Superman or Justice League was divisive, but you will probably see a lot of critics having fistfights on Twitter about it. As a villain, Riz Ahmed and Riot, I think, were a little more consistent. They're probably about as worthy as a foe that they could give Venom in a movie like this without getting to the bigger comic book stuff that they're trying to build towards in the sequel. So no spoilers for that. Like I said, post-credit scenes, stay to the end of the movie. You'll know exactly what's going on. But the movie itself is in no danger of dethroning Marvel's Spider-Man Tom Holland films as the crown jewel of Sony's film universe. So if you were going into Venom worried that Sony might have this new franchise on its hands and it'll steal Tom Holland away and not renew its deal with Marvel, I don't think after watching Venom there is any danger of that. They might have some successes with the 900 characters that they have the rights to, but I think they're always going to need Marvel creative. You'll come out of this very thankful for the structure and the organization and the quality that come with Marvel movies. Like, you always have certain expectations. You kind of know what you're getting going into it, and there are just certain parts of Venom that are really weird. It didn't ruin the movie for me, but just be sure to couch your expectations. Like, don't expect this to be the greatest Spider-Man movie that you've ever seen in the history of the world. So final grade, I'll say like B, B-. Like, they did a really good job, they just rushed it out a little bit quicker. Spend some more time on the script for the sequel. I think it will totally do well enough to merit that sequel, and yes, they can do a Venomverse if they want, but I think the whole idea is that Sony really wants to use Tom Holland in one of its movies in the future. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens with that. There's all kinds of box office projections. I'll talk a little bit about that as I do Easter egg videos, post-credit scene videos, all the normal stuff that I would do for Marvel movies. Leave your requests in the comments below, and once you have a chance to see the movie, let me know in the comments what you think of this new version of Venom. Matt Plavin, congratulations, you're the giveaway winner from my last big video. Please email me on the About page of my channel so I can get your contact details. Click here to watch that new Mysterio scene from Spider-Man Far From Home, and click here for that new Spider-Verse trailer with the Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield moments. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody stay awesome. I'll see you guys tonight.